Hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevin in the shop today, and I want to briefly discuss two less glamorous camp tools that are often overlooked. The first of which is the camp shovel. This deserves its own video, and I'll give it its own video, but suffice it to say that you should not turn your nose up at this tiny shovel. They're very useful. We'll talk about this later. Today, I want to discuss the machete. I'm not entirely sure why, but this is not a popular tool with bushcrafters and survival type people. You don't see a lot of guys using these, especially in woodland type situations. And as far as I'm concerned, this is an essential tool in the summertime. And I want to talk about how it's useful, how it can be used, maintained, and maybe modified a little to help. A little bit of technique and a little bit of knowledge will go a long way with this guy. So let's get into it. This particular machete is made in Brazil. It's about 23 inches long. I don't know what that is in centimeters because we're silly here in America and we do everything in fractions. I would also guess that it's about 1.5 pounds in weight, though that's just a guess, so don't quote me on that. And it came with a sheath. And I would say that's something you definitely want in a good machete is a sheath, because it would be dangerous to carry otherwise. Though if you already have one and you don't have a sheath, something you could try, I've never tried this, but I would imagine it would work. If you have a long, heavy tube sock, I think you could try that. They don't come sharp, so you're gonna have to do that work. And what you really want, as far as I'm concerned, is just like a Scandi grind. Chisel grind, flat grind, call it what you want. You're gonna have to sharpen these often, and you really only need to file sharpen them because you're gonna be sharpening them all the time. So stoning them doesn't make a whole lot of sense, though. Carrying like a honing stone into the woods might not be a bad idea, especially if you're gonna be cutting close to the ground. And you will be, which is why they tend to not be sharp on the tip. See how it's squared off there? And I leave it that way because you're gonna be beating this into the dirt, so there's no point in going through all the work of keeping that sharp. I'll bring you in a little closer here and show you a couple of the mods that I've made. Not a whole lot. One other thing you wanna make sure that your machete comes with is a full tang. I don't know if this matters a whole lot in a knife, though it's definitely preference. You definitely want it in a machete. Like a rat tang machete that has a plastic handle, I would say is a no-go. You want a wooden handle. One, because it won't give you blisters as easy as the plastic. And if you have a plastic handle, put some tape on it or something. But get one with wood if you can, because you're gonna wanna modify it. And that brings me to this guy. This is really where you want to modify it. They tend to come square, both the tang and the wooden handle. And that's going to give you blisters. I'll show you that later as I'm gripping it. You want to round this over. You might also want to score up the side here. I just take a crosscut saw and scrape it across to give you like a knurled grip. This particular machete has 3 pins through it, and it's also epoxied on the handle, and that gives me confidence that it won't come off. This is a decent brand of machete, but it's not the only one out there. But I would say that you really only need one. Another one was given to me, and I just sharpened it up and gave it to one of the guys who worked for me, because you just don't need more than one. If you want more than one, go for it, but you really don't need more than one. This will do pretty much everything I needed to do. Let's see just how sharp file sharp can be. Can you guys see? File sharp can be plenty sharp. Look at that sexy chicken leg. This step really isn't necessary with a machete, but I'm just refining the edge a little further with a ceramic honing rod. All right, let me really briefly show you how I maintain the machete when I'm in the woods. I I use a diamond stone when I'm in the woods to maintain the machete. There's really not a whole lot of point in stoning a machete because you're going to be sharpening it pretty much every time you use it if you want it to work well. And I got a Dmt Diamond Stone here. As I've said in previous videos, I'm not really a big fan of diamond like sharpening stones for knives. Even the ones like DMT, which is probably one of the better brands out there that are impregnated with diamonds, they seem to work really well the first and second time you use them, and then after that it's like they lost the grit and they don't cut very fast. But when they're new, and this one's relatively new, they cut pretty quick. This is the extra coarse, that's the black side, and the blue side is the coarse side. I tend to like the blue side a little better for sharpening this in the field. I've already file sharpened it at the shop, which you guys will see or have seen, but I need to maintain it a little bit, so I'm going to use the blue side, and I'll show you how I do that. So I usually like to just find a stump, gun down the blade like this, rest the tip on the stump or a tree. You could do this on a tree this way, but you want to rest it somehow. And I don't gun right down it like an arrow. I tend to tip it to the side that I'm using. Take the diamond stone. You don't need water on these, and just use it like sandpaper. Back and forth. Lighten up the pressure as you go. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to do. This is what you end up with when you're done. Plenty sharp for whacking weeds. Let's go show you a few techniques here. All right, I don't want to bore you guys too much with machete technique because there's not a whole lot of technique to it. You just swing at what you're trying to hit, but it does help if you swing at an angle rather than straight on, just like when you're cutting with an axe. And I find that when you swing, there are two ways to hold the handle that will prevent you from getting blisters if you're going to use this long term. One way is to choke up on the machete like this, so higher up. The bevel only comes down to right here, so I actually have one finger up onto the metal, and that prevents this part from rolling in your hand too much and causing a blister in the palm of your hand. The other way is to sort of hold down here, almost a three-finger approach. I do get my pinky on that a little bit, but if you're going to hold it like this and like swing back and forth like this, like if you're low to the ground and you're just going to go like this, I tend to like that three-finger approach to the machete because I'm just letting it roll back and forth in the palm of my hand. That way you're almost using it like a sai, and you're just letting it roll back and forth like this in the palm of your hand. You see how loose I'm holding it. It's tucked down in the palm of my hand here. If you hold it like that though, you definitely want to make this modification. These usually come pretty square. You're going to want to sand this over the way that I have. You might also want to score the handle some with a saw just to give you a little bit more grip, but you don't want this scored. You want this smooth because that'll allow you to roll it. If you're chopping something bigger like branches, I tend to choke up on it like this. Let me demonstrate that here. All right, let's say you find some seasoned wood that you want to use for firewood, and the machete is not a bad idea, and because you have so much more surface area, it's probably a better tool for this job than an axe is. So you want to place it at an angle to your body and at a 45 to the machete, and right on the edge of your chopping block if you have one, and you're going to strike it right there. Sometimes you'll have to strike it 2, even 3 times, and just turn the stick in your hand when you hit it. Give it a whack. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Just keep moving it down. There's 1, there's 2. I missed there a little bit. I hit it up here. You want to hit right where the stick contacts the edge of the chopping block. That'll give you the most resistance. There you have it. Doing.
I just want to point out here that you don't need to swing the machete hard to make it work. If you're doing that, it's most likely because it's not sharp enough. If it's sharp, you should just be able to allow the weight of the machete to do the work. You can see here I'm almost just pushing the weeds aside with the edge.
All right, guys, that's about all I got time for, but before I go, I want to make sure that I maintain the machete, which is to say oil it to keep it from rusting. These guys, by the nature of their job, are going to get rusty. It's high carbon steel and you're whacking weeds, and the weeds are normally wet from dew or rain or whatnot, which is why I keep a little can of ballistol in my pack to maintain my steel edge tools. And I like ballistol, not for any particular reason other than it's natural and supposedly safe for the outdoors, but any kind of oil will work. Give it a little spritz, take a rag of some kind. You can do it on your clothes, but I'll warn you, this will stain your clothes. So unless you want stains all over the legs of your clothes, which I've done before, use a rag. Be careful not to cut yourself. This is probably the easiest way to cut yourself, not when you're using the tool, but when you're putting it away and taking it out of its sheath. Wipe it off with some oil, put it away in its sheath, and it'll be good for next time. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.